Hey, it's Keith from Outlaw Speed Shop, and this week I am I don't know, I'm doing something with this stalker from Hot Wheels. It's pretty beat, and it's definitely seen its better days. So, as always, if you like what you see, make sure you subscribe and ring the bell to get notified of all future videos. So yeah, this stalker is pretty beat. It's got the plastic base. The red line wheels are pretty much yellow. The base is faded. The body is pretty chipped and oxidized. The window is supposed to be blue, but it's yellow from probably the sun. This definitely was left out in the sun way too long. So, as always, the first step is to take it apart and kind of see what I've got. It's interesting because you can see the window, how bad it is right there. The interiors on these are the same as the other ones. It's got the snorkel in the front of the hood scoop, but by default this one has a solid hood, so naturally it's just tucked in there, which is kind of cool. So the paint pretty much came right off because most of it was off to begin with. Usually I'll tackle with the Dremel tool, wire brush, just to see how bad it is. Get the rest of the paint residue off and move on to the next step. However, this is so bad, I'm actually going to hit it with the Scotch-Brite first, and just to see how much it's going to take to get it to some semblance of, when I put primer on it, it's actually going to take it and just not bleed through and look like crap because of the oxidation. So the Scotch-Brite pad actually worked pretty well, much better than the wire wheel. So I just used the wire wheel to take any leftover paint chips and citrus strip residue left, take that off, and then I hit it with the Scotch-Brite as hard as I can, just to get as much off of it as possible. So I'm not a fan of plastic bases, but this just has like one tab in the middle that holds the whole axle in. So I'll pop those out. I don't really have to strip the base because it's pretty much already stripped. So I got these Anson, I call them the Anson slotted mags that I'm going to use. They're actually, believe it or not, except for the back, they're the right width, so I don't have to cut the axles, but I do have to modify the base a little bit. And then I realized when I put it together at the end, I needed to modify the interior as well a little bit, cut out the wheel wells and crap like that. So I got to take it down a little bit on each end. Here I'm just kind of experimenting how much I got to take it down because I don't measure anything. I do own rulers and tape measures, and I use them enough during the day. When I go home, I'm not measuring shit. So I kind of put it up there, but I pretty much got to cut it to the faux leaf springs they've got molded into there. So that's essentially what I'm going to do. I'm going to make my vertical cuts. This disc is pretty small. I know it doesn't look it on camera, but I'm zoomed in pretty deep here. So essentially I'm just going to make my cuts and then slide it back and forth, and that'll grind it away. And then I'll end up using a file to smooth it all out once I've got I've taken enough out that it's not that big of a deal to file. But when you're dealing with plastic and you're using something spinny and fast, it'll melt. So you're gonna have the little dingleberries you're gonna have to get with the vise. So, and then once I realized I needed to cut some more, I went in far enough where I had to cut the inside out. So it's just one of those things. You got to keep playing around with it and testing and trying and testing and trying. I suppose if I measured it, you probably only have to do that once. But again, I always err on the side of caution, and I'll always just take a little bit at a time. So, and I'm usually pretty close. So the interior is not too bad. Never really saw any issues with it. Just needed a good cleaning. So I'm using my Super Clean that I got for free from Super Clean, and I actually do like it. So I am using it, and my wife's toothbrush. And other than that, interior was pretty good. Once it was cleaned, I just soaked it in some water to get the rest of the residue off. And here is a valuable lesson in futility. So I ended up I get this random assortment of sandpaper, and I ended up using 3 grades. I ended up going with 320, 600, and 1000 to try to get this yellow stain off, which, to the best of my knowledge, I'm assuming it's sun related. The sun just kind of bleached it and it turned yellow. And I was doing really well. I got most of it off with this process of wet sanding it. There was just some that was just so baked in, I guess you could say, that I couldn't get it all to that natural blue that it came with. And then there was a spot on the rear that was just a pain, one little round spot. So I'm going to actually try to polish it instead of just sticking it into the Pledge or Gauzy, whatever you happen to use, because I wanted to get the rest off. It just wasn't enough for me, and I should have stopped. And I'm sure you can see where I'm going with this, even though I'm not going very fast. I'm kind of rubbing it in with letting the tool do the work, and kind of just moving the windshield back and forth, and I'm bracing it with my finger, and I'm being extra careful. Just letting the tool do all the work. And that actually shined up pretty good. I was really happy with it at this point. It could be better, but for an original windshield that it was pretty much yellower than the rag that I'm leaning on, I was pretty happy until, excuse me, until right about there. Nope, not there. It's coming. Don't worry. But yeah, I'm just working it back and forth and trying to just take my time and flirting with disaster, knowing what's going to happen and knowing I'm going to curse myself severely. We all live and learn. This is one of those things that I just broke it. So I had that. I have another one. It's similar. The windshields, believe it or not, are slightly different. So I spared you the cleaning, but I pretty much just dipped it in the Pledge, covering it so no dust gets on it. And I now have a yellow windshield instead of a blue windshield that turned yellow. So I guess it's full circle. So anyways, I'm going to paint the base black. I primed the car with the fine gray primer from Tamiya. And I'm going to use my Molotov pens to do the side pipes and the bumpers. And my Highland green, which I wanted to test out, because that's the color of the Bullet Mustang, or as close to it as I can possibly get. And I wanted to test it out on something, so I figured I really don't care about this car. Might as well give it a try. Getting the axles underneath the little single tab, it was a lot harder than I thought, but I did get it in there. It takes a little bit of effort. And at this point, I have a greened stalker. So I kind of hemmed and hawed for a few days what to do with it. So I found these decals from a tank kit I had from Tamiya, and I figured, why not? Let's do something military related. Again, I'm just kind of winging it. I only really did this because I wanted to see what the color was going to look like for a future project, and I'm like, screw it, why not? And I just kind of hemmed and hawed about different things to put on there. So the last step, and then I kind of hemmed and hawed about clearing it. I was going to kind of go a matte clear for like a really military, like a really flat look. But to seal the decals, I figured I kind of wanted to go a little bit different. And I put all this work into it, so screw it, let's just clear it. So I'm mixing up my clear, which is 4-to-1. This is Automotive 2K clear. And I've had this for almost a year now. And I'm still using it. I think I've had to buy hardener once just because I left it open. Other than that, it's lasted me forever. This is kind of what I ended up with. I've got my chassis. I've got my interior, my window, and my highly cleared, totally inappropriate car. Really happy with, for the most part, the way this came out. The window doesn't fit the way it should. The plastic base is kind of tweaked. Eventually I'll find another stalker and I'll put a new base on it in the right window. For now, it just serves the purpose. Again, this was more of a test car for the color. The Highland Green from Splash Paints, highly recommend. So anyways, I hope you guys are staying cool. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you on the next one.